Hey there guys, Reckon here, and welcome back to Let's Read Katawa Shoujo. In the last episode we visit the Shanghai, and Emmy got some lemon meringue pie. And as that involved lemons, that was the only notable part of the last episode. So, we can start this one not having any worries of having left anything out. So let's do that. Thus it is decided that we are content with each other's company for now. We start walking in the same direction as Emmy, albeit at a considerably calmer pace. I get a bit closer to Ren, even though the umbrella is already big enough to shelter us both. I can feel her nearby warmth, providing a contrast to the chill of this rainy weather. Raindrops hitting the umbrella make a distinctive sound, playing the staccato melody of rainfall for nobody in particular. I realize I haven't been outside in the rain in what feels like forever. I inhale, taking in the scent of rain, feeling the weather with all my senses. The world melts into a blur inside the rain. The colors of the sky have deepened from gray to dark blue, with hues of red added to the mix from the sunlight reflecting off the clouds. The low-hanging sky looks pretty if I could reach out my hand and touch it. Have I told you how much I like rain? It's like painting. It makes me feel connected. Almost echoing my thoughts, Ren lets out one of her own. It slips out of her mouth, circling around us gently. Everything looks so soft, like the outlines of things just disappear. I like that. It's like the rain is hugging me. Her voice sounds different from usual, more gentle now, and soft. I wonder if it's only because of the rain, or because of the mood the rain brought upon the quiet artist girl. I feel that mood in myself too, enhanced by her words. Yeah, I like rainy weather too. It's nice every once in a while. Wonder what it is about the rain. Everything. A silence follows the statement, as if it allows for no continuation. I decide to push the direction of the conversation a little. But you know, if you like the feeling of being connected, what's the problem with showing your paintings to others? Don't you want to be connected to other people? It's not the same thing. You're comparing apples and squids. I brought up the subject Ren wants to avoid, and it shuts her down again. The question stays hanging between us for the rest of the trip back to school. I can't help wondering what on earth I could have said to truly reach Ren. Does she feel that she's lacking an identity? She has a strong personality, but if pressed to elaborate, I'm not sure I could describe it accurately. She feels like a person who is in constant conflict with herself. I never know what to expect when I talk to her. I wonder how she herself experiences that disconnect. If Ren is asking herself every day, who am I, and obsessively paints images to define herself day after day, what does she think of that way of living? The irony is, that's the exact same question I've been asking myself for the past 4 or 5 months. For me, it was miserable. I can only assume this is the natural state of being for this girl. When we stop in front of the dormitories, Ren turns to face me as if sensing my thoughts from afar. Her gaze travels emptily past my left shoulder into the shapeless rainfall. Her dark eyes seem to suck the low ambient light into themselves like a reverse mirror. That empty gaze lets nothing out. If I want to understand what's going on behind those eyes, I have to work it out myself. Ren opens her mouth and closes it without saying anything. The silence lasts for a few more moments before she takes a step toward the dorm building door. See you tomorrow. One of these days, like a bolt of lightning, it'll hit me what a fitting voice for her would be. Then again, odds are low that I'd get struck by lightning. So, don't hold your breath, or you will suffocate. The next morning, like every second Monday morning until he says otherwise, I have an appointment with the nurse. They allow me to skip part of my first class in the morning, and I don't feel any shame in skipping the rest either. Rather than being thankful I get to miss world history, I instead feel dread when I think about these appointments. I wake up at the normal time anyway and wash myself in the bathroom I share with Kenji, tidying my sleep-disheveled hair. I quickly get dressed and put my laundry in the basket. I pack up for the school day. I have all my homework done like usual, so I have a bit of free time now. There's no point in going to the morning class for 20 minutes before I have to get to the nurse's office, so I lie down on my bed and read a book until it's time to go. The door to the nurse's office is open, which is unusual. I enter while knocking to announce my arrival. Looking up from his computer screen, he motions me to take a seat with a friendly hello. Steam wafts up from a piping hot cup of coffee on his desk. It's probably not his first day. How are you feeling on this wonderful morning, Hisao? I'm alright, I think. It was cold yesterday because of the rain, so I woke up feeling a bit groggy. You too, huh? Quite a few kids got caught without an umbrella, so we've been spending time handing out masks and curing sniffles. Alright, today it's test day. Give me your arm. I extend my left arm toward him, keeping my face expressionless. The nurse ties a rubber tourniquet around my bicep with a practiced movement and briskly goes about his business. I don't think anybody really likes getting stuck with needles, but at least I got over my distaste for them. I had to. Now I barely even twitch with the moment of truth. Once that's done, a blood pressure check follows, then there are checklists and questionnaires to go through. The nurse nods and scribbles in my answers to the questions as I give them. Alright, let's have a listen now. I unbutton my shirt and put it kneeling on the back of the chair I was using while he puts on a stethoscope. I know by heart the order of places where he's going to listen to my lungs and heartbeat. I adjust my breathing to be even and deep without even being asked. It's become routine now for both of us. It's funny, this is pretty much the only time in one's life when you really concentrate on breathing and nothing else. It's always amused me. The nurse lifts the cold steel stethoscope from my chest and places it a few inches lower, listening again. The contact to the metal makes me flinch on reflex, even though I was expecting it. It furrows his brow, but I can't tell if it's because he's unhappy or if he's trying to pick something specific out among the complex multitude of irregularities in my heartbeat. Is there something wrong? Please don't talk. I shut up and become more anxious. The nurse is nice, but I can't help disliking these mandatory checkups. What if I'm going to end up hating all medical appointments from now on because of these? He finally lifts the circular metal plate from my chest, allowing me to talk again. Everything seems to be fine. You feeling alright yourself? I suppose. I was out yesterday when it was raining, and yeah, I felt a bit under the weather in the morning. Maybe I caught a cold. Were you with Emmy? She came down with a cold too. My people told her to stay in bed for a day or two. Really? I mean, I was with her, but I didn't know she got sick. I guess it was a dumb thing after all for her to go out in the rain like that. Yeah, well, let's put that aside. Everything seems to check out for you, but remember to be careful. Of course. I really don't want to go back to the hospital. He catches something, maybe repressed hair, I don't know, in my voice, and glances up from his papers he was looking at. Hey, don't worry. At this stage, it would take a huge crash in your condition to get you rehospitalized. It doesn't really reassure me, but grumbling about it to him won't make any difference. I quietly take my leave. Walking along the corridor from the auxiliary building to the main school building, I encounter a young female nurse coming the other way. She smiles at me when we pass by each other. The lobby is empty of people. No surprise, since classes are still going on. I hear muffled sounds of discussion coming from behind the first floor classroom doors. I glance at my watch. I'd have to rush to get to my classroom in time, and I don't feel like going to class anyway, so I decide to climb up to the roof and have an extra long lunch break. I have a feeling this is the scene I think it is. Or it will be soon if we haven't gotten to it just yet. Emmy promised she'd bring something for me today, but if she's sick, that's probably not going to happen. I'm not feeling hungry anyway, so it's all the same. The climb up the steep stairwell to the roof is oddly liberating, almost like losing weight. I feel satisfaction that it doesn't wind me as badly as it did the first time I came up here. I push open the squeaky door at the top and step into sunlight. The chain link fence allows for a grand view of the treetops all the way to the gray silhouettes of downtown further away. The dreary weather of yesterday is just a memory now. The silvery blue sky seems to be a mere arm's reach away. I forget for a moment that I'm in a bad mood. The warmth of the sun soaks into my bones, making me feel drowsy and lazy instead. The bells ring for lunch break, startling me back into reality. Soon afterward, the quad below me bursts into life. Students pour out of the doors down to the ground floor, intent on enjoying lunch at the quad in the lush gardens in this perfect weather. When I hear the door to the stairwell being pushed open, I don't bother turning to see who it is. The intruder starts coming toward me with uneven footsteps. The little river stones the roof is covered with rattle and crunch in her foot. The footsteps stop a few feet behind me, followed by a silence. I look upward into the glowing eye of the sun, absorbing its warmth with my whole body. What are you doing? I turn out of courtesy at her first words to behold the slim, awkward figure of Ren'Py. She looks very much like herself today, too. Her hair is maybe a tad messier than usual, as if she just got out of bed. She stands with her weight shifted onto one foot, looking at me with mild curiosity, as if I were something in a store's display window. I don't know, just spacing out, I guess. What about you? Emmy promised food. We usually eat here. I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed. I heard Emmy came down with a cold. Oh, I guess that makes sense. She wasn't in class. It's not that common to get a cold in June, though. You don't think she would running at the track afterward like she said. The rain just kept going. Probably. In the rain? In the rain. That sounds like a bit too much for just keeping up with the training regime. Emmy is a hard-headed one, though, so I can see her running in the downpour just because she had to. Well, that's obviously overdoing it. Probably why she came down with that cold, too. But I guess it's kind of cool. Speaking of that, I'm not feeling well either. I don't know what kind of inflection or what not I would put onto the achoo, so achoo. Don't like it? Sue me. Ren sneezes pretty hard, failing to stop it in time. In time. I don't know what is wrong with my speech today. Maybe I need to put more points into speech. Like this is Fallout or something. She cranes her head down to wipe her nose on her shoulder, so deciding that would be too unladylike, I pull out my handkerchief and hold it to her nose. Here, bless you. Thanks. She clears her nose and I dab the handkerchief gently on her, wiping it clean. Her nose is really cute. Oddly enough, it's probably the girliest part of Ren's face. I think I'm blushing a little, but Ren doesn't notice. Thanks. I think I'm maybe coming up and we're down with something too, like I was saying. Hope not. Ren doesn't seem to be bothered about eating, so despite the lack of Emmy-provided lunch, we stay up on the rooftop. She comes over and stands next to me, right up against the fence, looking at the same abstract distance as I am. Nobody else seems to be coming around to intrude upon this calmness either. It's quiet and peaceful. What does one do on a lunch break if not eat? It turns out that, between the two of us, we don't really know. Fortunately, passing time is an activity that manages itself just fine. Even though there's no conversation to fill the silence between the passing seconds, no pointless activities like cloud gazing to spend upon the minutes between now and then, time marches on relentlessly. I keep checking the time on my watch, then decide it's a dumb thing to do. Instead, I try to hold out for as long as possible before I check it again. Maybe I can hold out for 6 or 7 minutes. Ren remains silent, idly looking at the cerulean expanse above us. I wonder why, more often than not, we don't speak much. She said that she doesn't like speaking because of her perceived difficulties with expressing herself properly. As for me, I think I just got sucked into the habit at the hospital, where I spent such a long stretch of time never really talking to anyone. Most of the time I feel comfortable about this quiet mood. And even when I get the feeling that I have to break the silence, it's always so difficult to come up with something to talk about when it's Ren. She and I are on such different wavelengths that nothing seems to be on common ground. What is it that you like about the sky so much? She turns to me, her eyes dark and serious. Sky is the only thing that's perfect. I know it. You could say I'm an expert of sky if you wanted. And I am even if you didn't want to. A sky expert. It's always different, but it's always perfect also when it's different. I follow her gaze up into the boundless blue expanse, thinking of her words. If you ever wanted to be something different, it wouldn't be so bad to be the sky. No, I mean someone else, someone different. To go to a normal school like everyone else, not have to worry about stuff. What stuff? I try to find the right words for a moment, but can't manage to form a sentence that I'd be comfortable with actually using. Man, I don't really want to say it aloud. Try. I'm not so good at mind reading. Don't you ever want to not be disabled? She thinks about this and then shakes her head, frowning. That's a hard question. I don't know what to say. It's okay if you don't say anything. For some reason, I'm just so unsatisfied with who I am right now. I'm constantly thinking stuff like that. It's pretty hard to admit, but there it is. Honestly, I feel relieved about finally saying it aloud to someone, even if it's just Ren. I think I want to be different sometimes. Thought about changing myself lately, but it's a bit scary, like walking backward with your eyes closed. The difficult part is to know where your toes are not pointing at, directions. Even if I don't do anything, I would never say the same. It's like my old paintings. They're different than what I paint now because I'm different, but they're still my paintings, so there's something same. It's really strange. I'm different every day, but I'm still me every day. Who am I then? Is that a riddle? If you want it to be. I don't know the right answer though, so you have to come up with it yourself. Well, it's the sky, isn't it? Going by your definition just now. I actually managed to surprise her by that. Maybe she'd forgotten about it. That's right. But I was thinking about myself when I said that. Very strange. Could it be that I actually am the sky? I don't think that's possible. Your logic's a bit off somewhere. She looks down and shuts up, and I can see she's quickly going over the deduction mentally, seemingly unhappy with the result she finally arrives at. Yeah, maybe I'm not the sky. It makes sense. I have a hard time knowing what kind of person I am. You're not the only one. It's like my mind is in some other place than the rest of me. Underwater. Yeah, I wonder how it got there. I have no answer, so a brief silence falls between us for a moment. I shift my gaze back to the sky above us. The last time I really paid much attention to the sky was... I guess it must have been at the hospital. I could only see a thin strip of sky from the window of my room. If I walked up to the windows and pressed my face against the cold glass, the strip became bigger, but not by much. That sky made me feel sad and lonely, a reminder of the world on the other side. I wonder if there's another world beyond the sky we see from up here on the school's roof as well. I can't stop comparing life at Yamaku to my hospitalization, but I really should. I'm not there anymore. The narrow sky from the window of my hospital room, the faces of the doctors, the faces of my parents, the off-white walls everywhere, Iwanako's letter echoing the words she never said. They're things of the past now. I wish I could forget everything up until now, and that time would stop completely. Then there would only be me, Ren, and the sky, an eternal lunch break on this rooftop. Perfect, unchanging, and forever. I'm not sure if I like or hate this school. I could have gone to a normal school if I wanted, but I chose to come here. Why? I just decided I would. Kind of like melon or plum jelly. Do you think it was a good idea? I mean, there are a lot of good things about the school, but I think there are a few bad things also. I know. I kind of collect people because they're interesting. People here really are amazing. Most of them. Not all. Some people can't take it. They hurt too much. It gets really bad sometimes, you know. They hurt. I wonder if you like that too. I hope not. I don't like things like that. Hey, I'm not your case study, and I'm not going to go up and die or anything. Anyway, I meant more that this place is too distant from the real world. What's the real world? Everything out there. Real people with normal everyday lives that fit together like a puzzle. You don't think we are like that? Real people? Maybe we aren't. Well, no, we are. I just meant that it feels more like we're the leftover pieces. Ren thinks for a while, her almond-shaped eyes narrowing as she bites her lip a little bit, like a child. Is it hard to be disabled? Her question earns a dry chuckle from me. You tell me. You've been in this business a lot longer than I have. She thinks about that for another while. I don't really feel that disabled. I mean, I do pretty much everything differently, but it's not that hard. I can always practice. I've started to practice food things this year. I think I'd want to learn to cook in a real kitchen someday. That's admirable, but I don't think it's just a state of mind. Maybe not to you. I have no good counter to that, so I concede by falling silent. The situation is making me more and more confused. I know what I want, but don't know how to reach it. Ren seems to believe she can simply will herself into the shape she thinks she needs to be, but can't decide whether she wants to be a bird or a butterfly. I think, in the end, I'm not really happy with who I am either, but that doesn't mean I regret being who I am. That's the thing that's wrong with you, Asal. I've only started to process that rather blunt statement before Ren suddenly hugs me. What are you doing? I've never been hugged by a girl with no arms before. To be honest, it doesn't really physically feel like a hug. The awkward way she presses her body against mine and the lack of embracing arms make it feel like she fell on top of me. But the warmth of a real hug is there, and that's why I recognize it for what it is. I'm hugging you, Asal. I know that, but... Is it wrong? I thought this is what you're supposed to do. I'm not really used to this kind of thing. The first time Abby hugged me, I got surprised and kicked her in the stomach. I can kick pretty hard, so she hasn't been hugging me an awful lot after that. It's not wrong, no, it's just me. Things are a bit hard for me, for the time being. I can't seem to react properly to anything. Really? So is it hard being disabled after all? I guess she has me cornered there. I don't have the energy to start arguing against it, but I feel like I have to get something out. Well, No, it's not hard. I think it's just me overlooking things. I really wish I didn't feel so sorry for myself all the time. What if I was always this fragile, or if it became this way after my incident? Nothing had ever truly shaken my world like that before, so there's no telling. Ren presses her cheek against me tightly. I can feel the warmth of her body close against me. Her body temperature feels really high, as if she absorbed the sunlight into herself and was now sharing it with me. Or perhaps it's a natural state for her. It's the most comforting thing I've felt in a long, long time. Wow, your heartbeat really does sound weird. It's like a drunken percussion orchestra. Please don't say stuff like that. I get very uncomfortable. I laugh at her comment anyway, in an attempt to ease the tension. It sounds a little bit too forced. Man, I'm sorry I'm such a mess. It's okay. It's the best part of you. Hearing that doesn't make me happy. She breaks off the hug and settles down. An awkward silence falls upon us like a blanket, me feeling embarrassed about myself and Rin trying to arrange her expression to something she likes. One last time I glance upward. This rooftop is really great. It's like I'm just a little bit closer to the sky. I know a better place, but we can't go there on lunch break. I could take you there sometime if you want. The bells ring for the beginning of the afternoon classes, and Rin stands up to make her way downstairs. I don't hurry after her, deciding to stay up here for just a little while longer. Thanks for the hug. Thanks for not kicking me. After Rin leaves, I finally let tears roll down my cheeks and cry for my condition for the first and only time in my life. Then I cast away that hollow person lying on the hospital bed forever. So maybe I didn't convey that quite the way that it was meant to be conveyed, but big things just kind of happened. Sasao's more or less decided he's going to finally cast away his old self and rebuild himself. That's a good thing. Change is good. Rebuilding yourself in a better image is good. Let us continue. 2 days later, I'm feeling less miserable. I even go for a long, brisk, healthy walk like the nurse recommended, something which I'd avoided and dodged with all sorts of excuses earlier. I feel more active in class as well, delighting our science and homeroom teacher, Mr. Muto, with correct and promptly delivered answers. The break right now between the two morning classes is too short for any sort of meaningful activity, but too long to spend it just sitting in the classroom and doing nothing. Going out into the hallway isn't much better, but flexing my stiffened muscles is a better use of time than letting them get even stiffer by staying seated. The door of the neighboring classroom opens, and the students of 3-4 emerge to further fill up the already semi-crowded hallway. It seems their teacher kept them in for a few extra minutes. Emmy is among them. She notices me noticing her, which also makes me look away on reflex. I don't, however, and Emmy smiles at me as she happily skips toward me past the other students. Emmy looks pretty energetic, showing no sign of illness whatsoever. It seems like she recovered from the cold. Hey, good morning! Nice to see you back on your feet. Feeling better now? She looks fine to me, but I still feel compelled to ask. Thanks, and yeah, I do. Just a cold, nothing serious. Emmy laughs confidently as if to emphasize her condition. I wonder for a moment what would count as serious in Emmy's book. She seems to be eager to put the topic aside, though. Where are you going? Up to Rin's room to see if she's awake yet. Oh, she skipped the morning class? A sheepish smile emerges on Emmy's face, and she gets slightly flustered. Not exactly. It seems that she caught the cold that I had. Sorry to hear that. Well, she was out in the rain on Sunday with us after all. We started on Monday, and she was feeling a bit under the weather back then, too. Yeah, anyway, I'll ask the nurse for some cold medication to give her if she doesn't get better soon. She leaves for the girls' dorm. I want to go with her to wish Rin well. I want to tell her that I'm better now, too, but it doesn't feel appropriate. An unspecified feeling diverts my thoughts away. Somehow I just can't summon the resolve to go in there. Is this what Iwanaka went through when she tried to tell me what she felt? To think I plan to record another episode right after this. Don't think I'm going to do that now. I'm messing up too much. Would not be beneficial to do that. So it's going to have to wait another day. Fantastic. Even though I'm feeling more energetic, I'm still hesitant about going over there to talk to Rin. It's not until 2 days later on Friday that I finally gather enough courage to enter the girls' dorm. I ask the first person I meet inside for directions to Rin's room. I knock on Rin's unmarked door and wait. After a few seconds of silence, I hear something rustling inside the room. I start wondering if maybe I should have brought something for her, like a canned warm coffee. Canned coffee. Or some oranges. I could have peeled them for her. Well, too late now. The door opens soundlessly, as if it was already unlocked, and I found myself staring at Rin, who stares back at me. She looks like she just got out of bed, with her hair all messed up. And barely any clothes on. Hello? There's a strange, stupid-looking smile on Rin's face. I'm not exactly sure why. Rin smiles so rarely that it seems to be out of place every time. Especially so now, given her partially undressed state. Said state makes me feel extremely conflicted about whether or not this was a good idea. Her cheeks are flushed rose-red, contrasting with the milky pale complexion of a person who doesn't get enough sunlight. Her forehead looks sweaty, as though she might have a fever. Hi. Now what? I didn't plan anything further than this, and Rin is staring with those expectant eyes of hers again. Something about this situation gives me very strange vibes. Her eyes are even more vacant than usual, and she seems to have a hard time focusing on anything. The lack of clothing is disturbing, but since she herself doesn't seem to be bothered, why should I be? I keep telling myself that. I thought I'd pay you a visit since you haven't been in the art club, and I wanted to talk with you and wish you well. Rin doesn't show any sign of recognizing what I just said, making me wonder if she actually understood my words, or if she even heard them. Maybe it's the fever making her groggy. She might have actually been asleep before I came over. Okay. She turns on her heel and withdraws from the door, walking back inside the small room. From the doorway, I can see her walk to her bed and half fall down, half sit down on the messy pile of bed sheets. The open doorway seems to be more of an obstacle in my mind than the closed door was, but since Rin doesn't say anything else, I step through it and into her room. Rin is on her bed leaning against the wall, leaving the only chair in the room for me. She keeps quiet even after I sit down, so maybe she meant to invite me in but just forgot to say aloud. An implied invitation, as it were. Very exciting. Nobody has visited me before. The breaking of the silence draws my attention from the room to its inhabitant, who currently seems to be in the middle of a very profound thought process. Actually, that was not true about visiting, but Emmy doesn't count even if she visits. She always pampers me too much. I think she's having too much fun. It's like I've forgotten how to put a bra on by myself. She looks groggily down her chest, which is probably why I don't have one on, now that I think about it. I haven't failed to notice that Rin doesn't have a shirt buttoned up either, but I try to keep my eyes strictly locked on hers. It's rather evident that she's not a very body-conscious person. She's not a Persian. My own body, however, it's quite conscious of hers right now. She came to wake me up at 7:30 today. Can you imagine that? She pauses for a while and glances up at my dumbfounded face. On second thought, you probably can. It's not like the reverse rainbow fish I tried to imagine earlier. That was hard. Well, yes, that seems like a pretty normal time to wake up if you want to go to class in the morning. I'm trying to sound as reasonable as possible to counteract Rin's unreasonable annoyance. I told her to saw it off. She gave me these meds and told me to take them. I follow her eyes to the night table and to the pill bottle sitting on top of it. I pick it up and turn it around to look at the label so I can see what kind of a medication Emmy brought. Active ingredient. Codeine? You took all of these? No. Yes. I've been eating some since there's so many of them. Seem to make this thing not so bad. Actually, I think I'm feeling just fine. Her head lolls round and round, making it look like she's either trying to stretch her neck muscles or possibly pass out. She took several of these pills. Can that be safe? At least it's bound to have some side effects, which I'm afraid I'm witnessing right now. I'm feeling just fine. I'm fine. Just someone take this buzzing away from my head. I can't think straight. You know what expression returns to Rin's face? It's like many of those insect things, or one really big insect thing. With lots of wings, very much color and everything. What's the word for those? Oh, never mind. I remembered. It's butterflies. She smiles slightly at our last observation. The small pause in her monologue is not long enough for me to dare say something that could potentially, but not likely, salvage this discussion. I love butterflies. They're the best animal. Did you see any on your way here? So. She utters my name as an afterthought, possibly to make clear that she is now addressing me instead of just speaking her mind to whoever might be listening. This odd situation has left me speechless more or less since the moment Rin first opened her mouth. Now that she herself doesn't seem to have anything else to add, silence fills the small room. It makes me glance around again in an attempt to find something to talk about. Rin's room is about as small as mine. The big window, which takes up most of the wall further from the door, opens to the east just like mine. It looks very normal, which strikes me as strange. I expected something more different. About a dozen paintings, most of them in Ren's signature abstract style, and a few art posters taking up most of the available wall space. That's about the only real difference between her room and mine. The room's not exactly aesthetic, but it doesn't look like what I had expected from a girl's room either. I have a feeling it's not actually aesthetic now that I look at it, but being from a poorly funded high school, we don't look at words like that. The faint smell of art, paint and paper is floating in the air. It's the same smell that the art room has. Rin isn't too concerned about being tidy, it seems. Everything she owns seems to be arranged in various piles around her room. Her room looks nice. It's an empty sentence one uses to fill empty spaces in conversations, but my wits are failing me pretty hard right now. Yeah, would you like me to show you the places? She looks down at her half-open shirt quizzically, making me inadvertently follow her gaze to her chest. Oh, I guess I already did. I can't deny that, no matter how hard I try to act properly. It's very nice that you came to see me. Makes me feel very... what's the word? You know, talking about things and stuff. Anyway, you came. Ren's rambling makes me remember that I actually came here for a reason. Hey, about what we talked on Monday, on the rooftop, remember? Ren doesn't seem to be exactly attentive right now, not that she ever is. I plow ahead and get it off my chest anyway. I just wanted to tell you that I'm going to be better from now on, I guess. I hate being pathetic, so I decided that I'm not going to be anymore. I guess that's all. Okay, isn't that good? The blurry words flow out of her lips slowly and uncontrollably. I'm happy for you, I think. That's what I think. You shouldn't look so sad all the time. I mean, looking sad is fine if you're not sad, but you look sad like you actually sad. That's no good. Are you going on some training camp where they make men out of boys for mountaintop meditation? No, I don't think so. Oh, I guess that's fine too. The sentences come out of her mouth, possibly her brain, one at a time with a small pause between each, making her gibberish hard to understand. I just think it seemed like a good idea. Maybe it's not. Ren finishes with one more line, getting to say the last word over herself, an impressive display of what I can only describe as mental shadowboxing. While I'm embarrassing myself, might as well tell you that I'm sorry that I said some stupid things to you last week. It's your own business to decide what you're going to do. She seems to not register my words at first, but then understanding lights in her eyes that she waves her head around in a way that can be interpreted as anything. It's okay. I probably said stupid things too. It's just sometimes a bit hard to keep my thoughts the way I like them. They're not very straight, at least most of the time. Not that I want to have them straight, I just wish they were in some shape. Round is fine too, and I need more definition. My thoughts are very messy. Messy. She repeats the word melancholically, then flops lying down into bed, and nuzzles her head against the pillow, shutting her eyes. Enough. Tired. You should go. I'm going to sleep again. She opens one of her eyes to look at me. Was it you who likes to look at sleeping girls, or someone else? Maybe there was many of those. I can't remember. You can stay if you want. No, I'll leave. I have to do homework anyway. I stand up from the chair and take a step toward the door. Wait. Her request stops me in my tracks, not that I intended to scoot off right away. I look over to my shoulder at the girl lying on the bed, again with the strangest kind of smile on her features. She should smile more often. I can walk into the door. It's the least a gentleman can do. Ren giggles like a little kid, making me beyond absolutely certain that she took far too much of her cold medication today. I've always wanted to say that. Slowly and with difficulty, Ren first rises to a sitting position again, then she stands up with even more difficulty and more slowly still. As if guided by some masculine automation, my eyes instantly lower the curves of her thighs and the striped panties, at which point my manners force me to lift my gaze back to Ren's eye level. It's getting almost too hard to do that. Ren is standing, although barely. It looks like she has trouble keeping her usually decent balance. Again, probably a side effect of the medicine. She takes an unsteady step towards me, then another small one as she notices that it's not a good idea to try to take big steps. I feel my muscles tense as I prepare to catch Ren if she falls down. She manages to take 2 more steps before she falls against me. To my surprise, neither her downward momentum nor our slight height difference are able to stop Ren from pressing her heart-shaped lips squarely against mine. As our lips part after a confusing moment of nothing but the taste of Ren, I look down at her, trying to find some explanation for this bewildering event. The euphoric smile of a madman broadens on Ren's lips again, and I wonder if I'll remember this tomorrow. I'm absolutely stumped on how to respond. Ren takes a step backward, separating her body from mine, and making me only now realize that they were even connected in the first place. The second step is actually a fall backward, luckily straight onto her bed. The soft thud Ren's thin body makes against the mattress breaks the silence. I move quickly over to her to see if she hurt herself, only to be met with a peaceful face of dreaming. Ren sleeps. She is lying diagonally across the bed, somehow managing to have simultaneously fallen asleep while standing up, and fallen down in a way that she didn't injure herself. Fool's luck. I tuck Ren in, covering her with the sheets as well as I can. She feels very light, even though I'm not that strong. I stand up to look at her, the oval-shaped face, the dark eyelashes shut against the feverish cheeks, the slender body covered with the pale sheets. Ren sleeps. Conflict, plural, churn inside of me. Think about calling a nurse to keep an eye on her. Decide against it. After taking one more glance at her peaceful face, I decide that she'll be fine. I do pocket the remaining pills, though. And now, with that more or less behind us, actually, this might be right at the end of the scene. I exited the room and closed the door soundlessly behind me. I exhaled deeply, only now realizing I had held my breath for the better part of a minute. Taking a moment to relax, I tried to calm down my heart, racing like a jackrabbit. That's what I thought. So now with that scene properly over, that scene makes you wonder, with her shirt unbuttoned, and this is a serious question, with her shirt unbuttoned the way that it was, you would have think that at the angles that she was getting up and whatnot and falling down, that he would have been able to, well, to sneak a peek. That's, I would assume that would have been a possibility, but I guess not. Who knows? I know I don't. But yeah, that'll just about do it for this episode. So next time, I have no idea what we're going to do. So until then, I'm reckoning you, the viewer, the like, the favorite stuff, the comment, the share, and the video that you don't have to do. Leave a comment down below of what you think of the new YouTube inbox system that's been completely changed and makes no sense why they changed it. If you want to, you can leave a comment about the video. It doesn't really matter to me. But I'll see you guys in the next episode. And until next time, if you want to keep on painting, you can do that.